coming right there.
All right, what's up everyone? Welcome back to Tactical Rifleman. We got an interesting little range thing for you this week. So what we're gonna be talking about is switching eyes when you're shooting a pistol for CQB. So a lot of people in our classes, when we're teaching CQB and CQB skills, a lot of people ask us, hey, you know, when I get to a corner that breaks right, what I call a zig right, I should switch hands, right? And we're saying, no, don't switch hands. Don't do that, because how much do you really train shooting with your support hand only, right? How good is your trigger pull with your support hand only? How good are you with combatives with your gun in your control hand or support hand? You see what I'm saying? So we want to try to maintain the best shooting capabilities we can while making best use of cover and or concealment, right? That's the whole point of one-man room clearing is, you know, principle number one in the way I teach at least is best use of cover and concealment. Your job in CQB is to cheat behind that event horizon, right? In other words, your job is to scan, expose as much of the dead space to your muzzle and your shooting eye while exposing the least of yourself to that dead space, okay? Rewind that and listen to what I said a few times. Make sure you understand that. That's principle number one of one-man room clearing. You're welcome. All right, so when we're clearing by ourselves, we're pieing, right? If you're not familiar with what that means, go back in our video archive. We've done quite a few videos on the mechanics of how to pie when you're by yourself, okay? So what we're gonna get into now is a little more specific. When I go around what I call a zig left, okay, which would be a corner that I'd be turning left, okay, slicing that pie around to the left, that is what I call a zig left. And if I am right hand dominant and right eye dominant, as I go around that corner, my right eye will get exposed to that target, but in front of my right eye is my pistol. So by the time my aiming eye is exposed to that target, I should be able to pull an accurate shot off on that target, right? If I'm rounding this corner, a zig right. If I'm rounding this corner towards the right, okay, I'm working my ray right. Now, if I'm still using that right eye and right hand, okay, then I'm actually gonna be exposing my entire head to the target as opposed to half of my head. I do have to expose some of myself, right? Because I want to take an aimed shot. So I'm not going to be shooting around the corner like this, hoping that maybe I hit something. What if I hit someone I didn't intend to hit, right? I need those bullets to go exactly where I want them to go. So if I don't change my aiming eye, I will now be giving my entire head as opposed to half of my head as a target. I'd much rather give my opponent a much smaller target to A, recognize and orient towards and then take a shot at, okay? Pretty simple. The doing of this is a little more complicated, and so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna show you A, how this works, and B, I'm gonna show you a progression of 3 drills you can do on the range. You can do the first 2 on any range, even an indoor range where you can't come out of the holster, you can't move around or even work around barricades, you can still work this skill, okay? What I'll go back to now is saying, I do not want you starting to change hands off the bat, okay? Even though you'll see one of these drills does involve that, but in real life, I don't need you changing hands around every corner. I just need you to be able to change your dominant eye. For some people, that's a big problem, right? And some people just won't be able to. And if you can't, and you've tried, and you just can't, understand you're gonna be giving your enemy a bigger target when you are pieing around on the side that is opposite of your dominant eye. All right, so here we go. Here's the first drill. You ready? What we're trying to do here is nothing but establish a baseline for being able to use your non-dominant eye, right? We call it non-dominant eye because it's literally that. It's the eye that doesn't naturally want to do this, right? And so what we're gonna do, I'll start dry, and the reason I'm gonna start dry is just for your benefit actually, because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my clear gun here, right? And I will aim it at the camera, okay? There's no cameraman behind the camera because it is a real gun, but I'm gonna aim it at you because I want you to see how the sights line up with whichever eye I'm using, okay? So the way this drill works is I'm gonna take a shot one-handed, okay? The purpose here isn't the hand and the actual shooting, right? The purpose is getting the brain used to the opposite eye working. So I will take a one-handed shot with my dominant hand and my dominant eye. In my case, okay, that's my right eye and right hand, and I'm gonna take a shot, okay? Then I'm gonna transfer the gun over to my non-dominant hand, and I'm gonna use my non-dominant eye, okay? And I'm gonna take a shot. Now, the reason I'm switching hands, because remember, 2 minutes ago I just said I don't want you to switch hands in real life on the corner. The reason I'm doing that for this drill, and the reason that's important, is because what we're doing is we're giving the brain an easier task. We're switching hands and switching that eye, okay? And that way the brain can like switch all the functions to one side. If you are cross-eye dominant, okay, for CQB specifically, you still need to develop the skill, but if you're a cross-eye dominant, I want you to do this drill exactly how I'm showing, but use your non-dominant eye with your dominant hand and vice versa if you have to, okay? So again, I'm gonna take my gun out. It's a clear gun, okay? I'm gonna take my gun out, strong hand, or right hand, right eye, okay? We'll leave it that way. Right hand, right eye. I'm gonna prep my trigger, line up my sights perfectly, take that shot, switch hands, line up my sights, prep that trigger, add pressure, add pressure, add pressure, let that gun go bang, and that's what you're gonna do. So let's do this drill live, okay? The target for you guys, the target is just behind the camera but off to the side so I don't shoot this expensive target, okay? And that's why it was important for me to show you this, because the angles aren't necessarily gonna line up for you right now, okay? So I'll punch out, prep my sights, line them up, add pressure to the trigger, add pressure, take my shot, reset, prep that trigger, okay? I'll go back into double action because I'm shooting a SIG. I will switch hands and I will do the same thing, left hand, left eye, add pressure, take that shot, reset, prep that trigger, right? Remember that follow through, and there's your drill. So you can go back and forth, you can do a double action, single action, depending on what you're shooting, it doesn't matter. I'll stay in single action and I can go back and forth. Oh, that was a miss. There we go. So what I want to make sure that I do is not just start going fast, right? Because the whole purpose here is getting used to which eye is aiming, which hand is doing the shooting, okay? And it gets a little confusing at first. So just take your time. This is not a tactical drill. This is brain training, okay? That's drill number one. Okay, so now that we've established a baseline for being able to switch between your dominant and non-dominant eye by helping our brain make things simpler and switching hands, right? What we're gonna do is now we're gonna do some two-handed shooting, okay? All I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have a two-handed grip on my gun, and I'm literally gonna take one or two shots and then switch eyes and one or two shots, okay? Very, very simple. Like I said, you can do this at any indoor range. They're not even gonna know that you're doing anything other than just pulling a trigger, okay? Let's see what this looks like. So, right eye, 1, 2. I had to pick the target with the tuning forks that keep making noise for like an hour after, okay? So that was my strong eye. Now I'm gonna switch to my non-dominant eye. 1, 2. Back to my dominant eye. 1, 2. Non-dominant eye. And 1, 2. Okay guys, pretty simple drill. Pretty simple drill. So those are drills 1, drill 2. Now let's actually get to where it becomes practical. And I'm gonna bring in my, my barricade over here. Let's see what that looks like. On to our third and final drill. We're gonna break this drill into 2 pieces, okay? Obviously we're gonna work both sides. That's not what I'm referring to. The first piece that we're gonna do on each side, okay? And again, if you want to learn the footwork, go back in our video archives and check out our one-man room clearing video, and we'll put a link to it like here or there somewhere. It'll be somewhere, or maybe it won't. All right, so go back and check that out. But here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna actually incorporate the footwork of CQB, of one-man room clearing. I'm gonna pie around this right-hand corner of the wall, which I refer to as a zig left because that's the direction I'm moving in, okay? Zig is in zigzag, okay? It's the zig to the left. I'm doing that for the benefit of a friend. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to place my weapon where it needs to be, just a little below the sight, the line of where I'm looking, right? If this is me looking through the sights, I'm gonna depress my muzzle just a little bit from the shoulders, not from the wrists, okay? So that way I can keep managing and monitoring my, my sight alignment the whole time, okay? And then I'm going to start pieing. When I see that target, okay, I'm gonna take another little step. When I see that target, okay, I can raise my muzzle up, prep my trigger, and start shooting. All right, so doesn't matter how many shots you take. The reason I'm saying I'm gonna break this down, at first I want you to get into this position and just get comfortable doing some shooting. Okay, once you're adept at doing that, okay, then you do the whole thing, the whole sequence, and you start pieing. Oh, there he is. I raise my muzzle and take my shot, and we're good to go. All right, that's drill number 3. Let's do this from the opposite side now with my non-dominant eye. All right, here we go. Let's work the left side of the barricade, which I'm calling a zig right. Why? Because that is my direction of motion. All right. Here's a little tip to help you unfuck yourself as you're approaching this corner just to get going, okay? So what I can do, and this is not really what I do live in the real world, but to learn it, right? So I will put my gun up. What you'll notice is, by the way, I'm gonna have to change my grip because my left wrist doesn't flex much, all right? So ignore the grip, but what's gonna happen is I'm now aiming through my dominant eye, okay? My gun is where it needs to be, right at the, past the edge of this corner, okay? And then I can shift it to the other eye, okay? If you're really having trouble, you can close your dominant eye for this to learn it. I don't want you to do that in real life. But for now, to make sure you're kind of letting the brain take in this information properly and send out the proper signals to the body to do, you can go ahead and close your dominant eye, okay? Put the gun up in front of your non-dominant eye. For me, I'm gonna open my eye back up, okay? And now I will pie my way around until I see that target and a little more so the camera sees me, and I will take my shot. 1, 2, okay? And then you can keep pieing around and start over and just do that over and over again. Okay, let me do that one more time with a little more fluidity without explaining, okay? And that's our drill. For the purpose of the shooting drill, you can stop right there. I want you to understand that when you're trying to practice this for more practical, like real world level, okay, you don't just stop and walk away when you've shot your target, right? You got to finish and clear this obstacle all the way to the inside 180-degree corner. Okay, so I hope that was helpful for you guys. Again, you can do this even dry, right? You can start dry at home, switching eyes, start with switching hands, progress through the drills. You're going to be awesome.
If you like this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, make sure you follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter so you don't miss out on anything.